Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Kello Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour. Always great to be with you. Let's take a look. Let's stroll through the latest this morning. I talked about this on the air this morning. The president held a news conference. Actually, it wasn't a news conference. He had media there, but he had a number of people who were supporting the big, beautiful bill. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want you to hear. I shared some of these comments this morning. It's a couple of minutes long. Tom Homan talking about the big, beautiful bill, and he is just mystified that people are not supporting it.
Look, I think this issue of the big, beautiful bill should be nonpartisan. I don't know what the hell's the matter with everybody up in Congress?
Who knows?
People are dying every day. ICE is arresting 3 times as many criminals that the Biden administration did. We're taking public safety threats and national security threats off the street every single day. But we got over 600,000 illegal aliens with criminal histories walking the streets of this country. We got less than 5,000 deportation officers. This should be a no-brainer. The more resources if we get this bill passed, we got more agents on the road. We buy more beds, we get more transportation flights. More agents means more bad guys arrested, taken off the streets of this country every single day.
I have such
every
respect
day
for
we arrest
this
a public safety threat or national security threat. This makes this country much safer. Who the hell would be against that? And I get irritated, I get pissed off because I'm sick of meeting angel moms and dads. You want to talk about family separation? They buried their children. So I've done this since 1984. I've worked for 6 different presidents. No one has had the success of the Trump administration. We got the most secure border in the history of this nation today.
And then he goes on. I'll stop it there. But it's pretty compelling stuff from Tom Homan yesterday at the news conference that the president had, and that was at the White House. So the debate goes on as to the big, beautiful bill. So where do we follow up here? The strikes against Iran. You got former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice saying that the actions on Iran's nuclear facilities are a significant moment for the Middle East. And she was on with Brett Baer on Fox News Channel yesterday. She said, we will eventually know precisely how much the Iranian program was damaged. But and keep in mind, that's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take us a little bit of time. But she said, I think all of the evidence is that it was substantially, significantly damaged to the place that for a while, at least, it will be hard to build a nuclear weapon. Trying to see if there is, and you see the photos there. And I showed you some of the video regarding this yesterday. Take a look at the most commented story. Trump talking about Israel and Iran. They don't know what the blank they're doing. He was frustrated, and you can't blame him. So she went on to say, President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history. This was Pete Hegseth yesterday. He held that news conference yesterday, and he said it was a resounding success, resulting in the ceasefire agreement in the end of the 12-day war. Trying to see if Condoleezza Rice had anything further to She said she believes the U.S. set Iran's nuclear program back significantly, and she criticized the low confidence preliminary intelligence assessment, which claimed that Trump strikes didn't, destroy that Iran would be able to rebuild their nuclear program in months versus a couple of years at least. And she said that leaking that information was irresponsible. I think that's typical of Condoleezza Rice. She's putting it a little bit softer, I think, than I would have responded to that. We've got Mitch McConnell, who is back in the news. Take a look at this story at Politico. While we're talking about the strikes on Iran, McConnell sees these strikes as a teachable moment for Trump. And what it goes on to say is that now this is a teachable moment, not on Iran, but on Ukraine and Russia, that now we have seen Donald Trump, because of his actions in Iran and against Iran, that now here is a teachable moment to bring Donald Trump into the whole Ukraine thing. And I'm like, oh, typical Mitch McConnell, hardly a surprise. Did you see here, McConnell sought to use this moment to nudge Trump to apply the lessons of Iran to Ukraine, and more broadly, to recognize the value of defense investments that can produce drone technology. So I'm all in favor of drone technology. Anytime we can use drones rather than putting American troops, America's, fighting men and women at risk, I'm all in favor of that. So McConnell praised Trump's cajoling Europe into higher defense spending, but said that was all the more reason for the U.S. to spend more in the coming years on defense. We need to not just preach to our allies. We need to do the same. Oh, it's like just when you thought Mitch McConnell was out of it, there he rises from the dead. Yet again. Few more stories here talking about what's going on. The markets, S&P 500 hits new record high following months of Trump tariff doom and gloom. Yeah, keep your eye on what's actually going on. And then they talk about what has happened, that the historically, so they're going back here a little bit and look at this, but they're saying after months of doom and gloom, the S&P 500 hit a new record on Friday, marking a stunning comeback from April. At market open, the S&P 500 went north of 6,154.79. CNBC suggested that the comeback was driven in part by strong corporate earnings, a stable labor market, and new energy in the AI trade. Certainly doesn't hurt. The trepidation over tariffs has largely given way to optimism over Trump's trade deals. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And they say there's also the matter of Howard Lutnick's recent revelations that the U.S. and China finalized their trade deal this week. President talked about that yesterday. That story's not getting a lot of traction. I think in part because of the big, beautiful bill discussion. But here's Lutnick saying no, I can't get into that. Bloomberg story from Bloomberg. But you see the headline there. So it's pretty crazy. You take a look at this. Also, this is a story that I think will resonate with some of you, regardless of where you're at. When we talk about eminent domain, And when do you use eminent domain? Here's the story from the New York Post. Trump administration pushing back on a town trying to seize a 175-year-old family farm via eminent domain. So this is in Cranberry, New Jersey, and the town may be taking it. And so you got reaction from the family, and also they are involving country's ag secretary, Brooke Rollins. Remember now, Brooke Rollins played a part with the Maud family. Here's the response. You can see it here. Whether the Mauds, the Henrys, or others, the Biden-style government takeover of our family farms is over. You remember, we talked about that story at length. So Rollins says of this family in New Jersey, she's looking into the situation. She said, we must protect family farms at all costs. She had been on the phone. So the farm, now get a load of this. Why they're seizing the property, and this is where it gets sticky. I'm all in favor of using eminent domain when you're building a road, when you are putting in infrastructure, right? Critical infrastructure, power lines, would be a great example. Excuse me. Or, things of that nature. You can see what they're considering it for. State mandated affordable housing on a large portion of the land. So let's use eminent domain to take their property and put up affordable housing. That's where I go sideways. I really go sideways in this. So they have owned this land for over a dozen years. They poured $200,000 into the property. They've declined offers of up to $30 million made by developers. This is the thing. Developers come in and they're trying to buy it. They don't want to sell. They don't want to sell the property. And so now it's eminent domain. Oh, I guess we'll have to come in and use eminent domain. This is where eminent domain gets sticky when you see it being used in that way. And so there are a number of photos here. You can see the property. Their attorney saying that the town has been trying to preserve ag land in the area. And so to use eminent domain to take it and put up affordable housing runs contrary to preserving ag land. This is what their attorney is saying. I thought you might find that story interesting. You'll find it at the New York Post. And then finally, I got one other story. This is way off in a different vein. A nightmare neighbor who terrorized a couple living above her through their Ring doorbell has been jailed for more than 3 years. This is crazy. 52-year-old woman harassing her downstairs neighbors. They don't want to give their name. I can imagine. You got a crazy neighbor ringing your door on your Ring doorbell at all hours repeatedly. And now again, she's going to jail for more than 3 years. So we're not just talking about, once or twice. I mean, we're talking about serious harassment going on. So his life changed when she moved into the flat below his, and he reported her for kicking her dog, which he says he saw on closed circuit. So he reported her. You don't kick your dog. Who in the hell does that? You don't kick your dog. So she started a campaign against him and his partner. In the months that followed, his neighbor smashed 2 Ring doorbells in less than a year, issued regular chilling threats via cameras, took her dog to dirty their doorstep. So she's doing all this stuff. And I want to show you the, how would you like to have that? Would you like to have that on your, on your Ring doorbell? So terrorizing her neighbors to the point, and you see what he's saying here. Every day I feel trapped, knowing she's right below me, ready to scream abuse at me, make threats, and continually taunt me and my partner. Her threats toward me are terrifying. She regularly shouts that people are waiting to break my legs or cut my throat. Where do these people come from? I think this country's got a serious, I mean, that's a lot more than a self-control problem, right? I mean, that's got to be a mental illness problem when people start behaving that way. And so now she is going to spend the next 3 years behind bars. We'll see if it winds up being that long, but that's just people engaging in that kind of stuff. It's just crazy. Kind of takes your breath away. All right, my friend, you have reached the end of the video. So you are part of my gallery of champions. A big thank you to you. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are here each and every day, and you see them commenting, which I very deeply appreciate. So I want to wish all of you, hit the like button, please. Hit the like button before you leave. If you do that, I'll be grateful, and I want to wish you a really great weekend. I also want to give you a heads up. I'll be taking vacation, not next week, but the week after the 4th of July. So I will be off on Friday, July 4th. No Greg Belfrage show that day. And then the following week, I'm going to be on vacation. So I want to just give you a heads up here ahead of time so that you're aware of it. So until Monday, my friend, have a great weekend. But until then, I'm underground and gone.